welcome to Things Crafty. I wanted to share with you a really cool product today called Instamorph, and it's moldable plastic, and you can do a lot of things with it. And I've just only tapped the surface here for doing like crafty jewelry things, but you can use this product to mold almost anything. So say you have a broken piece, because plastic breaks all the time, a broken piece of plastic, and you need to twist it or whatever, and you need something to grip onto, you can take this Instamorph and use it to repair that. So there's a lot of ways you can use this product, and I'm just going to show you some of the things I did with it to make some pendants. But the way it works is there's these little pellets inside, and the pellets turn clear. So these are the little white pellets, and you're not supposed to heat it over 150 degrees Fahrenheit, as it increases the risk of burns, because you're going to pour this into water that you heat on your stove, and once you pour it into the water, you'll see it start to turn clear, and when it turns completely clear, then you know it's ready to be worked. So it's a really neat thing. It's obviously something that you don't want to do with kids, you know, that are young, you know, and if they're older kids or whatever, with supervision, obviously, you know, from a parent or whatever, it would be okay. But it is fun once you pull it off the stove, then cool it, then the kids can play with it a little easier. It won't be too hot for them. So anyways, these are some of the things I used. I used some of the Stays On jet black ink, and I stamped into this piece with a rubber stamp, and then I added the Stays On ink over it, and I had already added like some inclusions, which are these antiquities in verdigris I used on this one. And so you can use different things inside and outside of the Instamorph. So you can't use pigment ink because it's going to just wash away, and you can't heat these, and pigment ink usually has to be heat set. So you have to use the dye ink or the alcohol ink with this product to get any kind of effects with it. So on this piece here, I stamped with a texture sheet, and then I added a little of the Stays On, and then I came back with an oil crayon and went over that. This piece here is the embossing powder, distress powder, and then I have some glitter, and I also have some gold leaf, which is what this one is here. There's gold leaf with some of our magic transfer cling, which is right here, added over it. So I've got my water on the stove right now, and I hear it boiling, so I'm going to have to go shut it off and let it cool to 150 degrees, and I'll be back to show you how to work with it. So this is what a little bit of the Instamorph looks like in my hot water, and I'm just going to use a fork and kind of move it around and get it all to like gel together before I take it out of the water, if there's any little pellets. So as you can see, it's clear, and you know when it's clear that it's ready to be worked. So you want to let it cool for a few, and you can't let it cool very long, but you can let it cool obviously enough so that you can touch it. So let me let this cool, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have a workable medium, as you can see, that I can mold and manipulate and add inclusions to. And I have some gold leaf here, and you can just place the Instamorph right on the gold leaf, and it will adhere, and you can start to work it in and get a really cool look. So you can see the possibilities that it would have to create something really unique. Now I can take this piece and I can mold it. And I've never used this particular mold, but let's give it a try and see how it looks. So you just tear off a piece. Now, the one thing about the Instamorph is, once I work with it and say I don't like what I've done, or it didn't come out the way I wanted, I can then throw it back into the water, and it will go back to being a moldable form. So here I am just pressing this into the mold. And now, let's see, it should pull right out. And you've got a really nice flower that you can do almost anything with. So you can see the potential for doing some really cool jewelry, for doing some really cool home decor. When this cools completely, it turns like a milky color. So it's not going to be completely clear once it cools. And now I could go in here with an X-Acto knife and I could cut around here and then I'd have just the flower. So to give you an idea with that, there are so many different things you can do with it. So what I highly recommend, and this is what I do whenever I get any kind of product, I just play around with it and see what will work with it and what won't work with it. This is the Adirondack in Meadow alcohol ink, and let's just play around by putting a little drop on there and letting it go and see what we get. And you can just get a totally different look. Now, if you just want a little coloration, if you're working with alcohol inks, you want to usually wear gloves, but I don't. I don't mind getting dirty. So, as you can see, you can add the alcohol inks to it and get a different look. And here actually is the piece we had left. Now, it's starting to stiffen, so it's not easily worked at this point. I mean, you could still stretch it a little, but so what I would do is I'd throw this back into the water, get it hot again, and then I should be able to model with it again. So I do want to try something that I have not tried yet, and this is this Jonestones foils. So I want to see if when I heat up the Instamorph and I use the Jonestones, if it will actually stick to the Instamorph. So we're going to do a little test here. Let me just tell you this before we move on. These at the stage that I was molding this is the stage that you would put in any kind of powders or glitters or any kind of inclusions. I've used my flecks of mica. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but there's flecks of mica in this one. So any of your things that you want to include into it that has to be mixed in, you have to do obviously in the state where it can be manipulated. So let me go throw this piece back into the hot water, and I'll be back to try out the Jonestones and we'll know if it's going to work or not. Okay, so I've reheated this Instamorph, and I did it with the gold leaf that we had just added to it. Now, Jonestones reacts with heat, and when you're using this on a dry surface such as paper or polymer clay or something like that, you have to rub it like crazy with something like a credit card, something to get it to transfer onto that particular substrate. So I wanted to see how this would work, and you're getting to see this in action. I have not tried this before, so this will be an interesting thing to find out if it works. So the way you usually do it is you peel it off like a Band-Aid. So let's rip it off. Ooh. It did not work very good, but it did work a little. Interesting. So I can see the potential in that you can stretch it. Now this is holographic. Wow, this will be really cool molded. Let's try that. And now it's starting to stiffen again, so I might have to stick it back into the hot water, but you can see how you can really, really manipulate this to do what you want. You can make really thin pieces and it'll still hold its own. So there's oh, is that gorgeous? Let me see if you can see that there. Here we go. See, so this has a little of the gold leaf. It has a little of the Jonestones. The Jonestones didn't come off completely in one big strip, but it came off a little, as you can see here. And really, it's gorgeous. So take these ideas and really use your imagination, and you will come up with a ton of ways to use the Instamorph in your craft projects, because it really is a lot of fun and really is beautiful when you add different things to it and make it your own. So have a blast, and we'll see you next time.